All right, here we go again. Tony and Mike's next adventure, and it's a pleasure to be here. Mike, good to see you again. The third time out, we're getting some pretty good reaction. So I say, hey, man, let's continue as long as we can go with it, you know?
Yeah, we're going to keep going as long as we have power. I guess that's the theme this week, right? So many people are without power. As long as we have electricity, I guess we'll keep doing this. But, you know, we sort of partnered up a little bit with Steve at doingitlocal.com. And he released it like in a Facebook Live type of thing, our second video. And according to his numbers, about 11,000 people viewed it. So you remember we had about 6.3 on our first one, over 11,000 on the second one. You know, what are we going to do for the third time around? So it's very exciting to see all the people watching us and wanting to hear what we have to say. And believe me, we're so humbled by all the response that we've received.
Yes, very humble, and we're thrilled to be doing it. We're thrilled to be back together, doing a little something anyway. So let's keep it rolling for as long as we can. The last time we did this thing last week, my wife wasn't here in the house when it happened. She came back and she saw it later in that evening, and she had some of these critiques for last week's show. Don't panic. It was all about me. As long as she's ripping me.
All right.
It's okay. So let's start right off with it. Some of the things that my wife thought I did wrong last week. Hon?
First of all, you need to change your shirt. I'm not liking the selection that you're wearing. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your nose, your mouth. Cover your mouth. No face. No hands. You need to shave, and you need to shower.
No, what does the showering have to do? Who cares if he showers?
Well, see,
that's for my benefit.
Here's the thing. We were late in bed last night. I had a beard. Okay. Now you know me. I've been talking about this for years. I want to have the Civil War look with the long hair and the long beard. Okay, that's what I want to do. And I says I'm not shaving for the Facebook thing tomorrow. And she says, well, you're goddamn right you're going to shave. I says, well, yeah, but look at Mike. He had a little scruff last week. Mike is neat. Mike keeps his hair combed. Mike is thin. You know, you can see that Mike doesn't smell. She says, you just look at you. You're a mess. So I had to do it.
So you had your idea of how you wanted to go about it. Now we see that you're completely shaved.
Yes.
Showered.
Yes.
And the shirt's nice. But your wife wasn't the only person. I believe Nancy criticized the both of us. Nancy said in the world of COVID, Tony, you can't be touching your face as much as you are.
Right, and how ironic. Her name is Nancy Foot, so I guess I put my foot in it. Right.
Nice. Yeah, she also criticized me that I was too far away and lose the hat. So okay. I mean, so here I am closer and with no hat. So apparently Nancy is executive producer of Tony and Mike's new adventure. So that's exciting.
Okay. But and for the remainder of the broadcast, every time I touch my face, my wife is going to go, Tom. Okay.
No, just have her smack you. Just have her just see a hand come over the back of your head. Yeah. Every time you touch your face. Oh yeah, that's perfect.
You can do that. Okay.
Oh, her nails are nice. What is that? Rose pink?
Here.
Neon pink.
Neon pink. Ooh. It's the Goldbergs over there.
Did you see it?
Nice. It's very pretty.
Thank you.
What do you think that cost me?
Okay. Well, you're on unemployment now, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, we're working on it. Okay.
It's a long line. Yeah. All right. So the last time Smarties was the word. Look at all the people that wrote Smarties.
Nice.
And spelled it right. You want me to go through a few of these names right now?
Lay it on me.
All right. Glenn, Eric, Karen, Kathy, Ida. People are comparing this to Romper Room. So they want me to use like a magnifying glass when I do it.
Okay.
Roberta, Richard and Peggy, Carol, Patricia, Nancy, Christine, Mike and Judy Morella. Mike and Judy, how are you?
Judy,
Good
Mike.
To see you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for watching. Nicole, Sally, Annette, Michael, Katie, Kimberly, Jessica, Allison, Dorothy, Celeste, Jennifer, Barbara, and Terry. That's just one column.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make mention of a couple of people that have been very influential. on our careers. I just wanted to take a moment. I know Al Warren of WICC. He's been looking at it and he's been very complimentary. So hey Al, how you doing? Christian Trax, is that how you say his last name?
Christian?
Christian.
I think it's Trax. I think
Okay,
yeah,
well, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Christian, thanks for tuning in, and of course a whole host of other people like Danny Lyons and all of them. Thank you.
Ah, the
so
good
much
old
for
boys.
supporting.
All right, that's good. That's good. I miss those guys every day. Miss going into the radio station, broadcasting. Even though I was remote for a few years there, it was still nice to see them as they passed in the camera. And what, when we did this, and I was in Pennsylvania and Tony was in Connecticut, we didn't always do that. I was in Connecticut for quite a few years and then moved out to Pennsylvania. But it was like this. He and I would see each other through Skype the entire time. So if people walked into the WICC studio, I was always watching through a camera and I could say hi to them and all that type of stuff. So it was always nice to see everybody occasionally when they would walk in. But Tony has these rules. He's a professional. You don't come into the studio while the show is on the air. You don't bother Tony Reno while he's broadcasting. You don't do that.
That was my only rule. That was it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay.
You didn't have many, but that was one. That's for sure.
All right. What are we talking about today? What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's start with the hurricane. The tropical storm Isaias or Isaias. Is that right? Isaias.
I just call it the hurricane.
The hurricane. I think I got it. Isaias. Okay,
Okay.
so this beat up Connecticut pretty good. Over 690,000 outages. There's still about 590,000 outages at this point. And it's the same old stuff. Tony and I have covered hundreds of these storms, snowstorms, tropical storms, whatever the case may be, straight line winds, tornadoes. And it's the same thing. And trees go down, they knock down power lines, and now the restoration efforts get underway. Crews have to go out. They have to clean the debris away. Then they can restore lines. And people aren't happy. People want their power. This is what they want, Tony. They want the light to flicker, power go off, and then it comes right back on. That's our expectation of power restoration. 5 minutes is too long. A day is way too long. And, when we're talking about with this coronavirus world that we live in now, people are stuck in their homes and we've got air conditioning. Luckily the temperatures have kind of eased up a little bit since the hurricane. So that's certainly good. But, you've got food that's going bad. You've got all sorts of problems. So the Governor Ned Lamont, is launching an investigation into Eversource and United Illuminating. He said that the efforts have been wholly inadequate and does not meet the obligations for the critical resource they are responsible for providing on behalf of Connecticut residents. And if you talk to anybody who's without power still since the storm, they are on board into an investigation into the utility companies.
How did it affect you? I know here in Connecticut, here in our area, what day was it when you went to work?
Yesterday.
Yes, it was yesterday. My wife got in the car, and which is usually maybe a 10-minute drive here from our house. It took her an hour or better to get in because of the debris, trees in the road. The police were detouring her. She had to be detoured several times. And my wife was hoping against hope because there was no electricity anyplace, no stoplights, nothing in town. And she was driving, and she called me and she said, well, at my job, if there's no electricity, I'm not going to go to work. I'm going to come home. And wouldn't you know, nobody had any power, but she had power there at her school. So she stayed there the whole day. But that was about it. It took you like an hour to get in that day.
It did.
Yeah. And it's Connecticut is a beautiful state and it has a bunch of trees. And when you have that kind of combination and you have winds that hit as hard as they do, it knocks down tree limbs, knocks down full trees. I was watching videos in New York of a tree that fell right onto a postal worker, right onto his vehicle. He's okay, but it completely destroyed the vehicle. As for what happened here in Pennsylvania, we just got a bunch of rain and that was it. And then afterwards, it just got a little windy. I think the bulk of it was more towards the east Carolinas and then heading on up the coast the way that it was. But we've seen this with ice storms. We've seen this with snowstorms. I saw this graphic that was put out by WTNH, and it said when it comes to power outages, you remember that October snowstorm that we had back in 2011? It canceled Halloween pretty much around the entire state of Connecticut. I think we've got like 2 feet of snow, but the big part of that one was that the leaves were still on the trees. So it was that thick, heavy snow hit the trees, brought down all sorts of branches. They had over 800,000 outages with that storm alone. You remember Tropical Storm Irene, that was second, and then Tropical Storm Isaias, whatever it is, Isaias, causing the problems with this one. So we've seen CEOs of Connecticut Light and Power get fired over reactions to storms. There are crews from Michigan, Massachusetts, Canada in the state trying to restore efforts. The only thing that we can say is be as patient as possible, and don't assume the utility company knows your power's out. We always said this when we were on the radio. Contact the utility company to let them know that your power is out, and they'll get it on as soon as they possibly can. But
luckily here, we're on the same grid as the fire department, which is almost in our backyard over here. So when we lose power, we lose it for like 60 seconds, and then everything always comes back. I guess the fire department can't be without electricity for too long. So I don't know. We're on the same grid as they are. So that's very, very convenient. We never, ever lose our power, even under the worst of circumstances.
Well, that's good. That's good. And a lot of folks who live in Easton and other areas that are kind of a little bit more remote than, away from Bridgeport, it can be a week plus for crews, because remember, they have to clear those trees out. And that takes almost a full day in just a particular area. Then the line crews can come in and start putting things back together and hopefully getting power restored. So it's a multifaceted situation. But as we said, the governor is looking into the response, and it's going to be a popular decision to investigate the utility companies. And remember, Tony, we just talked about this. What was this, last week or the week before? Eversource wants to increase rates. Bad time for a storm. Bad time for a storm. Bad time, a good time for customers, because if you can't get the power back on quickly, people are going to be pretty upset about increased rates from this.
Okay, maybe we'll get a little break from that because of the storm. So
you never know. You never.
All right. What else? UConn football was canceled for the season. Did I see that? Now this is COVID-19, of course. But let me ask you a question. Everybody that I talk to, this COVID-19 thing, we're almost finished with it. We're almost out of here. I don't think so. I mean, when things like UConn football are canceling, do they know something that we don't?
Well, I mean, UConn football wasn't going to be very good.
Well,
okay, this isn't Notre Dame who's making this announcement.
Right.
The Ivy League announced that they were not going to be playing. But the Ivy League, and when was the last time you saw Yale competing for the national championship? You were talking about a program that has struggled over the last few years, and they're making the decision after speaking with, state health officials, public health officials, and the people who are in the football program, that they're going to not play this year. They're not going to participate. We've seen some abbreviated schedules. I think the NFL schedule just came out recently, and they're only going to play in division type games. We've seen the baseball schedule shortened. College football is still sort of a work in progress as to how they're going to do with this. But, UConn, who, as we said, it has not been a very good program over the past few years, has decided not to participate. But now the question is, you have all those scholarships. Those athletes are going to still be honored to be at the school. They're not going to kick them out because they're not playing football and all those types of things. So it certainly is tough to see, because I know there's a lot of people that want to go up and watch UConn play football. But season ticket holders, the school is going to be reaching out to you over the coming days, and they're going to be, talking about what they're going to do about the tickets and refunds and all those types of things. But yeah, UConn making the announcement that they're not going to be playing football and they're going to be gearing towards 2021. You mentioned, is this COVID-19 thing done? What Dr. Fauci just said the other day, that he believes that it's not going to be until the end of 2021 when they finally get a vaccine. And even then, he said, it doesn't look like we're going to get rid of this. We're just going to be able to manage it better. So if that's a timeline for you, if you kind of go by what Dr. Fauci talks about, end of 2021, possibly for a vaccine.
So we're talking almost 2 years before any progress at all.
Yeah.
Before we see anything. Wow, this is amazing. It really, really is, you know? And in the meantime, nobody wears their masks. And I find myself, I see that, I think that I'm the only one sometimes that are following the rules, but we talked about that before, you know? So.
Yeah, you know, and I think I mentioned this before. My son, Ben, is autistic.
Mhm.
He's been diagnosed with autism, and he's going to school coming up in September. And him and Josh, who are twins, and if you don't know this, they're 4 years old, and they're going to be going into their second year of preschool, and they have to wear a mask. And Ben has issues when it comes to wearing a mask. Now, there are medical excuses for children. There are excuses for adults if they have medical conditions that they can't wear a mask. And autism is considered one of those conditions that they wouldn't throw him out of school because he wasn't wearing a mask. But we're now in the process of kind of easing the mask wearing to him. So yesterday I was just wearing a mask, and you know, he'd come up and rip the mask off my face, and then I would sort of stand there and say, hey, do you want to wear the mask? And he put it on for a second, then took it off. Next time he put it on for like 5 seconds. So hopefully by the time he goes to school, you know, we might get a full minute out of him wearing a mask by the time he goes to school. But I know that
two things. First of all, I'm very sorry. I didn't know that about your son. I didn't know that.
No, he was officially diagnosed with autism. He's got he has a therapist with him that is with him 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day, and works with him on speech. That the speech is where he's struggling. He's not speaking. He's way behind. He's kind of like at a 2-year-old level, maybe even younger than 2 years old. But he's saying words, and you know, every time I hear him say "daddy," it's, you know, he hasn't been saying it very long, so it's you know, almost brings a tear to my eye every time he says daddy. But he's getting much better. He's learning a lot. He's really progressing with it. But you know, with this whole COVID thing, the big issue with him now is wearing a mask. And I know that other parents out there who have kids that are autistic, you know, that's a big fear of them going back to school,
right,
and having to put this mask on.
Let me ask you something about any 4-year-old, autistic or not. Are they going to keep their mask on when they go back to school?
Well, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be like this. They're going to start when they get out of the car. It's going to be like teenagers. Okay, when you drop your teenager off at school, they've got the shirt like this and all that stuff. And then when the parent drives away, you know, the V goes like this, so you can see cleavage for the girls. You know, the boys are, you know, wearing all these types of things. So when you drop the kid off at school, the mask is going to be like this. But by the time they get to the car afterwards, it's going to be like this. Right. I mean, it's just, that's how it's going to be. And then how are they going to enforce it? Are they going to go up, touch the child? I mean, you know, it's, I don't know. But Josh, you know, in a comparison, Josh loves wearing the mask. I mean, he could wear it all day. I mean, I have gone into a store with him. I've had to, and he wears the mask and is totally fine with it. So, you know, we'll see.
Good for him. All right. Okay. I'm reading here this morning, and I was glad to see this because, you know, I'm a huge Beatles fan. I'm huge.
I didn't know that about you. You
Yes.
like the Beatles?
Yeah, I love the Beatles. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Love it.
Okay.
Okay. And I was reading this morning that Paul McCartney was asked to do a Las Vegas residency.
Oh boy, that's a big act.
But in other words, he would go to Las Vegas. He would stay there for sometimes 5 years, you know, and do his show, not tour, but people would come to him at the Sands Hotel or Flamingo or wherever he was going to be. And I was really glad to see that he said no. He said he wasn't going to do it. And he said that's kind of a elephant's graveyard when it comes to entertainers.
Uh-oh.
He says that's kind of like where they go to die, you know. And, you know, I kind of agree with him in a lot of ways. I mean, I always thought that Elton John sold out when he went to Las Vegas. It's okay for guys like J-Lo, if you will, because, I always found that to
What
be.
about Britney Spears? I didn't think she was even
Yeah,
big enough to
but
set
to
up
me, that's
residency in
plastic,
Las Vegas.
and they're dancers, and you know what I mean. I really
Celine
don't.
Dion.
Well, Celine Dion, yeah, okay, all right. But I was glad to see Paul didn't do that. That he kind of stuck to his guns, and I mean, not that he needs the money or not that he needs the recognition or whatever it is, but he's going to continue to tour, I guess, until he dies.
Well, and as you and I were talking about before the show, the first rock and roller to do it was Elvis.
Yes.
And, he sort of set the stage for, I guess you could say, Main Street or as you said, rock type music to do it. I mean, was Paul McCartney asked about what he thought of Elvis doing it?
No, but I remember reading that when Elvis went to Las Vegas some 50 years ago or whatever it was the first time, guys like McCartney, not so much McCartney, but like Mick Jagger, they kind of made comments of how, oh, now he's going to Vegas to entertain the blue hairs. He's going to Las Vegas to entertain the older set. That's what it was considered. I know Las Vegas has changed quite a bit. It's not like that anymore. But I was glad to see that Paul was going to stick with it.
I got a question for you. If Elvis were still alive, would he still be in Vegas?
Yeah.
Or would he be in Branson?
I don't know. I think I don't know. You got to remember now, if he was still alive, he'd be 85 years old. I mean, would he still be shaking?
Would you pay to go see Elvis at 85? I would.
I might. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
Well, you wouldn't even get out of your condo to look across the street if the living members of the Beatles got together and put on a show, and that would be
right. If they
too
were
much.
appearing on my patio, I don't know if I would go. You're right.
So at this point, I haven't seen you smacked in the face yet. So you have. Does she have your hands tied?
No. Here they are.
Wow.
Here. Come on. Let's test it. Oh.
All right. Here are more names. These are people who said Smarty after the second video. Do you think of a third one?
Okay.
I guess we're going to have to do this every time. John, Karen, Lori, Queen Elsa. She did confirm, by the way, that she was Queen Elsa from Frozen. I know. Let it go. Let it go. Joni, Darren, Judy, Robert, Charlie, Michael, Janet, David, Paula, Joan, Wheeler, Ray, Margaret, Vicky, Vin, Millie, Don, Rita, Sharon, Linda, Barb, James, Dee, Elaine, Julie, Cheryl, Nicole, Donna, Don, Sandra, Lauren, Rose, Karen, and Lynn. Those are the names. Those are all the people who said Smarties and spelled it right, by the way, when it comes to at the end of the video. At the end of this video, by the way, we will be having a bad decisions. That was some comments that I had about the second video. What happened to bad decisions? What happened to bad decisions? And I just said, all right, we'll bring it back. So bad decisions, we'll have one. And I guarantee you're going to like this one coming up here in a little bit. Baseball has been, in full force. Yankees are running away with it already. From what I see, they only lost 2 games?
They've lost, I think they're 6-2, 7-2.
I thought they were 8-2.
It could be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they just lost one of the doubleheader. Now, Tony was texting me yesterday with these new fancy rules that they have in the abbreviated season. When they play double headers, it's like Little League. It's like 7-inning games that they play instead of full 9-inning games. So that's what the Yankees had with the Phillies, and I think they split with the Phillies, didn't they, in that doubleheader?
Yankees lost first one 11-7, and I think the second game was like 3-2 or something.
Okay, so
something like that.
yeah, but Major League Baseball is struggling to contain this coronavirus. The NBA went with the bubble. There have been no cases of COVID-19 in the bubble. Just keep that in mind, okay? Baseball is struggling. The Marlins, I think it ended up getting to it was over 20 members. And Derek Jeter even had to come out and speak because he's what is he? Is he the president or he's an owner?
He's in charge. He's an owner.
He's somebody. But he said that, listen, the players weren't going out bar hopping or anything. They would just run and grab coffee, and they do all these types of things. This is what happens when it's not in a bubble. Baseball was given the option of the bubble of playing where the College World Series is played, but they chose not to and do it this way. So and now we have several members of the St. Louis Cardinals. We saw that the Field of Dreams game, which was supposed to be the White Sox and the Yankees, was changed to the White Sox and the Cardinals, and now that's been postponed.
That's
Yeah.
been postponed because of COVID-19, and that's kind of a drag. I was kind of looking forward to
Yeah,
that, to see what
I
that
was
was going to
too.
be like.
And you can imagine all the hard work that they did to get that
Sure.
field and that whole area ready. Right? For people, Field of Dreams, the movie, it's in Iowa. There is an actual field there. That field was gonna host a Major League Baseball game between the Yankees and the White Sox, and now it's gonna be the White Sox, but the team they play, they don't know yet. I don't know why they wouldn't have. The Cardinals would make more sense. I mean, that's that area. You would think so. Or
Right.
the Cubs. I'm surprised they chose the
But
White
you're,
Sox.
you're not a big fan of the film Field of Dreams.
No, yeah, I am. I like the movie.
Didn't we have that conversation? Didn't you think that was, because I thought it was one of the best baseball movies ever.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I never thought
Yeah,
that
okay.
it did. No, I like it. But Major League Baseball is trying to do what it can to,
Keep the
I
excitement going.
guess, control this. So they released revised protocols and threatened to suspend players and staff members for the rest of the season for significant violations. Here's one of the examples. Players and staff must wear face coverings at all times with the exception of players on the field. They must also wear masks at all times in the hotel and at public places on the road. Players are strictly forbidden from meeting in hotel rooms, not even to share food. Each team will have a large room at the hotel with food that's set up for social distancing. Players are not allowed to sit side by side on buses, and every other row must be empty. On planes, players can't get up from their seats unless they have to use the bathroom. These are grown men, Major League Baseball. These are the protocols. Because I think they're looking at like the Marlins and the Cardinals and issues that they've run into that maybe they were violating this. That's why they're kind of redoing their protocols. While at home, players and staff members are strictly prohibited from visiting bars, lounges, malls, or places with large groups of people. So those are just a few of the protocols which you would think would already be in place for Major League Baseball.
So they have no intention of a work stoppage. They're going to forge ahead. I thought for sure they were going to end the season.
I think, Rob Manfred, who's the commissioner, he originally said, get your act together, players. Remember when, all those Marlins started to get sick, he said to the players union, get your act together, start following the rules, govern yourself, all these types of things. And then he backed off a little bit on it, or he said, we'll have to quit the season. He backed off on that a little bit and said, I don't quit. So we're planning on playing the entire season. We'll see. I mean, you got the Cardinals with a bunch of players and the Marlins. I think other than that, we're okay, right? I think
yeah.
I haven't heard of any other team.
Texas Rangers had an outbreak too.
No,
They had
so there you go. So we'll see. But like I said, NBA, they chose the bubble, no issues. Not one case in the bubble. So sports who are thinking about how they're going to handle this in the future, right now I'd follow the NBA's route as opposed to Major League Baseball's. I mean, if you're looking to control this virus.
Okay.
So.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. I want to just for a moment, I have to apologize to a friend of ours. His name is Don Waldo. Now, we worked with Don Waldo at the radio station.
Digital Don.
For many years, we worked with Don. And I was noticing on Facebook, he said in one of his posts, I would like to thank everyone for telling me how to do the bypass. And I said to myself, what's he talking about? He says, I wondered where everybody had been. This is good. And I said, the bypass. So I immediately wrote, oh my God, Don, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you had heart surgery.
Oh.
And then it turns out to find out that this had something to do with Facebook. And I guess the bypass is the system Facebook now has in place that limits posts on your news feed. So I guess they called it the bypass. But me, being who I am, I said how sorry I was that he had bypass surgery. So Don, I apologize for that if I created a ruckus.
All right, so folks, think of other ways that you can get Tony to think that you've had major surgery when in fact you didn't. I mean, what are other comments that we could have? I was just the other day, I had a stint you know, and you could say, oh gosh, was that angioplasty? I'm so sorry that you had a stint. No, I had a stint at the grocery store. I had to check groceries.
Yeah,
I got a
see,
job there.
it's easy. It's easy to misunderstand. You know, it really, really is. So I just like to clear that out. Don Waldo, sorry about that. He did not have bypass surgery. It was bypass on the face.
Well, and then you have the not embarrassing one, but the one that you don't want to ask questions about, but the gastric bypass surgery. What? I'm not saying it's embarrassing, but you know, most people who have that, you know, I don't know if they necessarily want
You really
it
don't
out
want to.
there, right?
I understand. I understand.
Some people would say that we needed gastric bypass surgery.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
All right, who's the boss, Tony?
I saw this. They're going to reboot it with Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano. Judith Light is staying away from it. I guess
Well, she hasn't. They haven't confirmed her yet.
Right, but Judith Light has already said, no, I'll do a couple of cameos, but if this goes through, I'm not doing it. Here's my problem.
You can't do it without Mona.
I'm not a fan of it. I mean,
Oh, you didn't like the show?
Why are you rebooting this? I don't get it. Aren't there any more original ideas anymore?
No.
I mean,
Look at us. Right? I mean, this show is an example of a reboot.
Yeah, no, you're right. We're rebooting. You're absolutely right. You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if I remember the show. I used to watch it all the time. I mean, it was a very popular show. I used to watch it all the time.
30 years ago, 40 years ago, whenever it was on, yeah.
Right.
Right.
But you can't do the show without Mona, without Catherine Hellman. And she passed away.
Now.
So she definitely is not going to be in
the
reboot unless they do a hologram of some sort. But
right.
I don't think you can do the show without her. I thought she was the main, her lines were what drew the show to me. I thought it was very funny.
Sure.
And she was one of the first older ladies that I was attracted to.
Okay. All right.
I found her to be very sexy. Am I allowed to say that? Oh yeah, we're not governed by radio anymore. We can.
You know, you're absolutely right. She was hot. Yeah.
She was a hot mama.
She was a hottie. She really was.
Yeah. Wow. We're really testing the boundaries here of what we can do. And I think we just. Your video is now dragging. This is great. You're stuck with your eyes closed.
It says that my video is unstable. They didn't have to tell me that. I know I'm unstable. They didn't have to rub it in.
Okay,
So,
now you're back.
So what does this mean? Am I running out of power?
That just means your internet's slow.
Am I good?
It's a little shaky. It's a little shaky. Let's just end it here. Let's get bad decisions on, and let's just end this. Obviously, you can't get through this whole thing here. So, do you remember the song that you did?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Bad decision. Mike Bellamy is me. That's the best I can do.
So you don't remember what you said. He's a friend of you and me.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
All right. Yeah, what we're going to do in the meantime, between this show and the next, is get Tony a new internet connection.
Yes, and between this show and the next show, we're going to also prepare.
What are you talking about? I think we're right on board. Okay, today's bad decision. Now we're back with doing bad decisions. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Sometimes rolling down the window isn't enough. On Monday, a 50-year-old taxi driver in Busan, South Korea, got into an argument with a 20-year-old passenger who wouldn't stop passing gas in the back seat of the cab. Farting, okay? I think we've all been there, right? The argument and the smells got so intense. Gosh, this is disgusting. Got so intense that the cab driver grabbed a knife and used it to stab his passenger more than 10 times. More than 10 times. Fortunately, the passenger is going to survive. But he was rushed to the hospital with some pretty serious injuries. Because remember, we don't do the bad decisions if somebody dies. Now, the cab driver was arrested, charged with attempted murder. He said, quote, I think I lost my mind in the moments. Do you think?
I hope that doesn't give my wife any ideas about later on tonight. All right. Very good.
I mean, the guy got arrested. I mean, you know, it's the problem.
All right.
All right. So this could be our last one, folks. You wanted bad decisions back. This is what it is. We apologize. All right. So before Tony's video connection completely cuts off, what is the word this time around? If we can hear you, and we can't hear him.
Oh, give me a word. What's the word this time around? It just has to be a word.
Well, yeah, it was
they say
Tootsie
good
Roll, Smarties, and now what's
guys.
this one? What?
Okay.
What is it?
Oh, okay. This time it's Bumblebee.
Bumblebee.
That's the
Okay.
one I'm going with.
All right. Bumblebee, folks. If you write Bumblebee in the comments, we will say your name during the closing, well, the beginning credits, I guess you could say, for next week. So, yes, we're excited. We will continue to do this as long as you continue to have us, as long as Tony continues to pay his internet bill, and we will continue to do this. I just want to stick
right.
this picture of Tony. Oh, no, there he is. Now he's a little better. All right. Okay, now you're good. All right, so let's say goodbye.
That's a show.
That's a show.
That's a show.
We'll see folks next time. All right. Bye.